boy. It might help if I add me to the stage so you guys can see and hear me. So, how is everyone? Y'all doing good? We're in week 2, day 2 today is. And another interesting day in court yesterday. I look rough today. I don't feel too hot this morning. Oh boy, yeah, I thought that would be perfect for today. Had quite a bit of stuff happen in court yesterday. Um, quite a bit of interesting stuff happened. We had the Social Security investigator. We had the gun forensic guy, the guy that handles the guns or whatever. We had the medical examiner. The medical examiner's testimony I found really interesting. Hi, Nye. Hi, Burden. Hi, everyone watching. But we did have company down there in Arizona yesterday from Idaho. We had officers Hermosillo and I believe his name, I can't remember the other name, Eric Walker, something other. I'm going to play that here just a moment to let y'all see about that. And Colby was back in court yesterday. So let's see here.
It's interesting. It's kind of what I expected it would be. I watched a little bit on TV, but I'm just down here to support Colby and Kay and be here for those guys.
As someone who knows Daybell well, what is it like to watch her act as her own attorney and cross-examine people?
Like I said, it's kind of what I expected. I've listened to her speak before. I kind of know kind of the way she is, and so to hear her and to hear the things she's saying, some of it's surprising just on areas on what she's going towards and the question she's asking, but overall I think that's Lori.
Why was it important for you to be here to support people like Colby?
Because we've been through this together for 5 years. I've gotten to know Colby really well, Kay, Larry, everybody. So I'm just here for them, and I think it's important. They need to know that.
Justice is something that law enforcement works towards. What would it mean to see justice here in Arizona?
I mean, it's all part of the same thing, right? From Idaho to here. And so it was important for us to get justice there. I think it's just as important here.
What was it like being in there on the other side? Like, this isn't your case. You're kind of there as an observer.
Right. I was hoping it would be a lot less stressful, but you still kind of have that anxiety and you still feel for the victims and the family that have to kind of hear that and go through all that again. And we wanted to come down to support, I think Ray mentioned it, I think we wanted to support the law enforcement here because they supported us in Idaho, and the victims and their families, and get the justice that we feel like they deserve.
Was there anything that stuck out to you about today?
No, I was really interested to see how it was, with her representing herself, how that was going to go, and some of the stuff's really hard to listen to, and so, but nothing that was like shockingly new to me, but just kind of interesting how that her defending herself's going.
So that was Detectives Wheeler, Eric Wheeler, and Ray Hermosillo. The name sounds familiar, the Hermosillo. That's because they were the detectives in the Idaho case. In Idaho, that is where Lori VALLOW has been sentenced to not one, not two, but 3 life sentences without parole, along with her 5th husband, Chad Daybell. People so far involved underneath their belt that have lost their lives are Tammy Daybell, which is Chad's former wife. We have Tylee Ryan. We have JJ Vallow. Tylee and JJ both were unalived by some evil people to do them the way they did them. And we have Charles Vallow, who we're currently in trial for right now in Arizona, who was unalived by Lori's brother Alex Cox, who is no longer alive. He allegedly passed from natural causes, I guess, or whatever, something to do with the heart. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so we have Alex Cox, we have Tammy Daybell, we have Charles Vallow, we have Tylee Ryan, and we have David Wood, JJ Vallow. 5 lives. 4 of those lives we know true victims of the Doomsday Cult couple, Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell, sorry. Yesterday they had, like I said, the insurance people in court, they had Social Security people in court, and I didn't really get a chance to queue them up, but give me a second here and we're going to check out the insurance. But before that, one thing that really got to me was how and I may have touched base on this already, but whenever law enforcement arrived on scene, you have a call that has been called in that there was a shooting, possibly a J4. A J4 is a deceased individual. You have somebody who's been shot. Now, no one really knows for sure if it was self-defense. Whenever that call comes in to dispatch, no one really knows what's going on. So, whenever I'm watching that body cam footage, and I'm referring to the body cam we looked at yesterday, where when officers arrived on scene, Alex is just told to come out with his hands up empty. They don't put him on the ground and cuff him. They don't detain him. They just make him sit down with his scab on the back of his head that he's picked up. So it's just, I don't understand that. You would think, especially with the way people are crazy these days, that you would want to be safe, but yeah, they didn't. And then you have Lori, you have Tylee. It hurts me to think about this because them kids do not deserve the stuff they are put there. And I'm not talking about Tylee and JJ, like every child that's involved in these cases. Tylee is clearly visible. It's clearly visible to see that she's upset in the video. However, Lori's sitting there, laughing like a deranged mental patient for real, instead of being like, oh my God, when I left, there was nothing like this happening. What happened? No sign of anxiety, no sign of distress, nothing. And it just, I don't understand it at all. But I am going to play this video real quick on the insurance. I believe it is. Oh no, not on that one. This one real quick. Okay. And I don't know if you guys can hear me well or not. I cannot find my earbuds this morning.
During this whole interview that you had with Lori Vallow, did she ever tell you that she handed over the phone to Charles?
She did not know.
So during the initial confrontation, when it's just her and Charles and he's demanding her phone, she won't give it back to him.
Correct.
When her daughter comes out and involves herself in this altercation, she wouldn't give him back the phone.
Correct.
And she advised that he's still at that point demanding his phone.
Yes.
And again, he's there to take JJ to school, right?
Right.
And then her brother comes out and again, he's demanding the phone and she still won't give it to him.
Correct.
Did she ever explain to you why she didn't just hand the phone back over?
She did not know.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 286. Have you looked at Exhibit 286 before?
I have.
And is your initials and badge on that?
It is, yes.
And is that a copy of the full interview?
It is, yes.
So it includes whatever conversations you had about throughout that, about Charles Vallow and her views on him,
Yes.
and repeatedly that she never gave the phone back to Charles Vallow.
That's right.
State will move to admit 286.
Same objection.
Same objection, Your Honor.
286 is admitted.
I'm not gonna hit it this time. Did Lori Vallow ever call 911?
She did not.
Not playing it. Yeah, never mind. Do you know who called 911?
I believe Alex Cox called 911.
We've discussed that she had multiple cell phones, correct?
Correct.
And so did you later learn that she also had Charles Vallow's cell phone?
I did.
So she has at least 2 cell phones with her, but she did not call 911.
That's correct.
After you interviewed Lori, did you have to get her and Tylee back to where the car was?
I did, yes.
Did you and someone else drive her, Tylee, and Alex Cox back?
Myself and at the time detective, but now Lieutenant Moffett did.
So can you tell us about that?
So the interviews were concluded and we were going to get them back to the house. The search warrant was still ongoing at the house, but to get them back to get vehicles, they weren't in custody. So I obtained our victim services has a minivan because it just holds a lot of people. And we use the minivan to take everyone back to the scene instead of driving 2 different cars with people. So I drove and Detective Moffett sat in the very back. Tylee was sitting up front with me and Lori and Alex were behind me.
What was Lori's demeanor in the car with her brother and you and Moffett?
She was unaffected, not emotional. The best description I can give is that she chattered the whole way, basically back to the house. Not upset, almost not happy, but just really unaffected by everything that was going on. It was kind of striking.
Is there any acknowledgement about what had happened?
No.
Basically just talking like it was any other day?
That's a good description, yes.
My name is Robin Smith Scott.
I'm going to have you move up or pull down that mic so we can hear you a little better. Thank you. Where do you work?
I work at Banner Life Insurance Company.
How long have you worked there?
13 years.
What type of, well, let me start with what does Banner Life Insurance do?
We are strictly a life insurance company. Customers can purchase life insurance policies.
Okay, I do have the policy pulled up. Who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. I'm returning your call. Yeah. I missed you. Okay, no problem. Let me just get all of this in.
Pause real quick. I didn't mean to hit that other one that was playing, but can you guys hear me better now? Let me know. I found the earbuds. That's what I was wondering. I just need to know if it sounds better. Anyway, this lady here that is on the stand is the lady from Banner Life. I don't see how she kept her cool whenever, to be honest, I mean, I'm glad she kept her cool, yes and all, but whenever they asked her in that one, do you know who the primary beneficiary is? I thought that it was fixing to be a wild ride, but let's get back to the video.
Information up. Okay, so in your voicemail, you stated that you had something that stated you are the beneficiary of the policy.
Right. So I have the original policy where I was the beneficiary, the sole beneficiary, and then we changed the policy to where I was 80%, and we added two people, the Porches, who invested in our company for each 10%. And that's the last one I have. That's the last update that I have. So can you tell me when that was changed again? I mean, I know my husband is the agent on record, so he can change it. He's the owner.
Okay, I don't see anything regarding the second change that you said. I don't, and with those percentages, I don't see anything at all with you as 80% at any time.
Okay, so maybe that's something he just told him he was going to do. That's just a handwritten copy I have that I found. So.
Okay, so well, I really can't give too much information, but I can tell you that the beneficiary was changed in March of this year.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what he was doing since we have 5 kids and we've been married for 15 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I know he owes a lot of people money, and I was worried if I got money, they'd be coming after me for money.
Right, no, I understand that.
But now I will be with none. So, but did he change it to one person, or was it several people?
Unfortunately, I can't release that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. No, I know you can't tell. We're in the business. My husband is the agent. He's the agent.
Okay.
So
Got it. Okay.
We deal with this business all the time, so I kind of know how it works, but I'm completely surprised.
Right.
We have our 7-year-old with autism that we adopted together, so I'm surprised that he would do that without telling me.
I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, even though it's community coverage. And it's his fault.
This is a contract that we have with the insured, exactly. So he's able to make any changes, during the lifetime of the policy.
Well, can I check? I mean, I have a policy, a $2 million policy on me. And since he's the agent, would he have been able to change the beneficiary on my policy?
Not if he was the agent. He would have had to own the policy, but I can certainly check.
But if he would have signed my name, could he have done that? I wonder.
I mean, I don't, I would hope that wouldn't happen, but let me just pull up. Okay, let me just take a look and see what I can find on you.
Just under Lori Vallow, it would be under Lori N. Vallow. We have a $2 million policy on me, but I'm not even sure it's with Banner Life.
I'm not showing that it's with us.
Okay. It might be Life of the Southwest. We work with several companies.
Right.
I could call them and I'm just asking the question, like, I could call them and ask them and make sure the beneficiary is who I say. I mean,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was
I
him,
would. I mean, if
so-
you have a concern of that nature, I certainly would call and check on your own policies if you know, have concern if
Right.
something may have happened.
Well, and I would have to change it anyway because he was the beneficiary as far as I
Correct,
know on
yeah.
my policy.
Right. So you would definitely want to update that at this point, and
Because
you know.
what happens, like if something happened to me, say today, and it's under him and he's deceased, what happens to that policy?
Well, if there's not every contract's different, but I mean, more than likely, if there was not a contingent beneficiary named, it would go to your estate.
To their state.
Yeah. But if there's, you know, if there's a contingent beneficiary name, then it would go to that person.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you. I just needed that information.
Okay, no, not a problem. All right, you take care.
Okay.
Mhm. Bye-bye.
So in this call, we hear yourself again with Miss Vallow,
Yes,
and we hear her telling you that her husband left her with 5 kids to care for, right?
yes,
And she told you that she understands how life insurance works, right?
correct.
That she and her husband run this business about it, right?
Yes,
But then she asks you if an agent would be able to change who the beneficiary was.
correct.
So she didn't really understand it.
I felt that she did not understand it fully.
And again, she told you she understood how this all worked, but then she asked you what would happen if she died. At this point, who would get, her money since her husband had been her beneficiary.
Yes, she did.
So you had to advise her of the fact that if there were contingent beneficiaries, they would get it.
Yes,
Ultimately, did Banner Life Insurance have any insurance policy with Lori Vallow?
no, she did not hold any coverage under Banner Life.
When she was talking to you, at one point she asked you or said, there's nothing you can do about that, right?
Correct.
And there's nothing you can do to change that. That is something that the owner is able to do,
Correct. We could not make any changes.
regardless of if you feel bad for someone.
Exactly.
Is it awkward for you when you have to talk to someone who thinks that they were the beneficiary and learns they're not?
It can be, yes.
Was that your last interaction with Lori Vallow?
To my recollection, yes.
Who did Banner Life Insurance Company ultimately pay the $1 million policy to?
To Mr. Vallow's sister, Kay Woodcock.
And before the insurance company, before Banner Life would pay that out to Kay Woodcock, did you actually have to call and verify with the police that she was not involved in the homicide or the murder of Charles Vallow?
Yes, that's correct.
I have no other questions for this witness.
Cross?
No questions, Your Honor.
Excuse me?
No questions.
All right. Are there any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? I don't see any. You can step down. Thank you. State can call its next witness.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I'm with you there. No, I would have loved to have seen her face when she realized she wasn't getting anything. Yeah, I can just imagine how that went. So let's see, we have that. And then we have another thing here at hand. I know y'all heard me mention it a couple of times about the gunshot. I know I mentioned it in the docket chat yesterday. Big shout out to him, Eric with the docket. It's the FAFO channel, because if you F around, you're going to F out. Find out. So let me see if I can find that here real quick. Autopsy pics. Let me see. Can't find it right now. Hold on. I can't find it, y'all. Telling y'all, day's been I'm not feeling good today at all. I'm catching a head cold, I believe. But let me find something here real quick. Maybe something like that. Let's check out this for a second here. Let's check out this gunshot. The gun guy. Let's check him out.
At some point.
The only notes that we
Sorry, I'm
2018.
Can you tell us about your education and
17-week training experience in merit examination, preparing a research project, which in phase 4 I will meeting. Absolutely. After the training, we are all given a competency test. We have to a semi-automatic means that it is designed to fire one round with a single pull of the trigger, but it's also meant to cycle the firearm. And what I mean by cycle is the process of loading a firearm means introducing a magazine, particularly in a semi-automatic, which contains a number of cartridges. Cycling it means pulling the slide back and allowing it to go forward. When that happens, it strips off one of the cartridges from the magazine and loads it into chamber. So we call that chambering. At that point, it is ready to fire. When the trigger is pulled, the firing pin is released on a striker type system. It's a spring-loaded firing pin, or a hammer type system where it's a weighted hammer that goes in and strikes a firing pin to hit this back of this cartridge to ignite the round. It then begins, the pressure builds up within that cartridge, expels the bullet down the barrel, but that same amount of pressure is also working to push it back. So it pushes that slide rearward. So it starts to move it back, unlocks the barrel, lets it go all the way back, and then it comes forward and loads the next one.
So I'm going to put up first, I have Exhibit 76 here. Is this a semi-automatic handgun?
Yes, it is.
And then I'm going to put 85 in here. Is that what a live round looks like?
A live round, or we call it a cartridge, it's just a single unit of ammunition, consists of the cartridge case, primer, powder, and projectile.
So when a handgun is used and the trigger is pulled, we have a projectile that goes out to the barrel of the gun. What happens to the rest of that cartridge or live round?
So the rectangular portion on top, the black portion of the slide that's on top, that whole thing moves. So it will actually, when the cartridge is fired, the pressure of that cartridge will force that rearward, and it opens up that chamber so that the expelled cartridge can be ejected, the cartridge case will be ejected, and the new one can be loaded in via the magazine. The very bottom here where the kind of the hand is grabbing at the bottom is where the magazine is inserted.
So put Exhibit 77. Is this where you're talking about where the cartridge is going to eject from?
That is actually showing the side of the barrel that which houses the chamber, but that section opens up and that is where the ejection takes place.
So you had talked about this in some of the different jobs that you do as a firearms analyst. When a person fires a semi-automatic handgun, are there any sort of identifying tool marks that might be left on the projectile or the bullet?
Absolutely. All of that pressure that builds up and is pushing the cartridge case back, it is resting against what we call the breech face. The breech face has a hole in it where the firing pin comes through and it strikes the primer. Primer is just that little button in the center of the cartridge. It's actually a very volatile compound that ignites the powder charge instantly. So all of that pressure builds up and presses against that breech face. This being a semi-automatic, as it cycles back, the barrel has to unlock. So it moves slightly back, but then as it unlocks, it drops down. And as it drops down, that cartridge case is scratching up against the surface of that breech face, imparting all kinds of marks that we use for comparison purposes.
When the projectile itself is fired out the barrel, are there any tool marks left on that?
Yes. So when the bullet is being pushed out of the barrel, through the barrel, all of that pressure is pushing it through. A barrel is rifled. Now, rifling is a pattern of lands and grooves that are in a rotational pattern that impart the spin on there. All of that pressure causes the back end of that projectile to expand and to fill that void. So as it's going through, it's dragging along the inside of the barrel, picking up any of the imperfections from the manufacturing process that are there, similar to a fingerprint. So when it comes out, we're able to look around there and you can see the pattern of the rifling all the way around the bullet and the individual striations or scratches on the surface coming from the inside of the barrel.
So if you are provided with a gun, casings, and projectiles, are you able to determine in any way if those casings or projectiles were fired from a specific gun?
Yes, and we do that by doing what we call a comparison. So we go ahead and we take that fired evidence and we're going to look at it. We want to verify that there's markings on there that we can use for comparisons. Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to test fire this firearm. I'm going to collect those test fired cartridge cases and projectiles if need be, and I'm going to do a comparison side by side on my comparison microscope. It's just a high powered microscope that allows me to see two things simultaneously side by side at the same magnification. So I'm going to have them side by side and try to line up those scratches and marks that are left on there from the machining process to the next.
So when we're talking about a barrel, you said there's like lands and grooves in there. Is that alone enough for you to identify if a projectile was fired from a specific gun, or are you looking for more specific, unique characteristics from each gun?
So each one, we start with what we call class characteristics. The class characteristics are those that are pre-designed before manufacture, such as what caliber is it? Is it a 9mm? Is it a 45, 40, whatever it may be? Then we're going to look at how many lands and grooves are there. If there is it, maybe there's 5, maybe there's 6, maybe there's 8. All of that we use as an initial screening. Can this come from this gun? Say I have a gun that's a 9mm and I have a 45 bullet. That's not possible. So it's an automatic rule out. But those imperfections from the manufacturing process are what we use, and how the scratches translate into there are very unique to those barrels.
So you said you test fire the weapon. Why do you do that? What are you using that for?
Well, when a case like that comes in, whenever we receive a weapon, we first and foremost, we want to verify, number one, that it's safe and unloaded. Number two, that it's actually operational as a weapon. So we're verifying that it can fire and it works as designed. But then I'm also using that time, I document the condition of it as I received it. I document any of the features that are on there, such as in this particular case up here, we have a brown and black gun. That's one of the notes that I would have on there.
When you are doing this comparison and looking for these unique characteristics that you may see from the tools or the actual combustion of this, are there different levels of interpretation or conclusions that you're able to reach during this comparison process?
Yes, when we're doing a comparison, we're first and foremost looking for marks that recreate. So the different levels of opinion that I can form at the end is I can identify. I can say this piece of fired evidence was fired from this gun. I could say this piece of evidence was not fired from this piece of gun, or this particular gun, excuse me. Or if there's just none of those marks that are reproducing, or an insufficient amount of marks for us to actually compare, we can actually go out inconclusive, meaning I'm not sure whether it was or not.
So I'm going to have my paralegal go up to you with a few items here. It is exhibits 2, 35, 38, 40, 239, and 246. I'm gonna let you sort of keep those, and I'm gonna start with 246, the handgun. Were you provided with that gun as part of a request to determine if you could, well, were you provided with that gun?
I was. When we receive evidence such as a firearm, we actually initial, date, and put the identifying information to the case on the firearm. Right here, just underneath the slide on the frame of this firearm is the DR number, our department record number, the item number. So the combination of that DR number and the item number is our unique identifier to track that piece of evidence. And then my initials and date.
Were you provided with a couple of casings, 238 and 240?
Yes, I was. And again, when I received these, when we receive evidence such as this fired casing here, which is 240, we initial and date the day we receive it. So it's here. There's my initials and date from when I resealed it. It's currently hiding up. It's actually right up here at the top where I initial and dated it when I received it.
Okay. And were you also provided with a projectile? If you can look at 235 and 239. And I believe you only had one of those.
That's correct. There's the one bullet I received right underneath our unique tracking. We barcode everything. It's got our department record number, item number. I initial and dated it as I received.
And which number was that?
This is item 239.
Thank you. What were you asked to do with these items?
This particular case, I was asked to compare the cartridge cases and the bullet back to the firearm.
And that's the firearm that we see here in Exhibit 77. What we see is 246.
Yes, it is.
All right. So starting with this, what can you tell us about the gun itself? What is the caliber? What is the brand of that?
The firearm is a Springfield Armory XDM 45 caliber semi-automatic pistol.
And so when we talk about 45 caliber, what does that mean?
45 refers to just the size of the bore. In this particular case, it's a 45 auto caliber, so or 45 ACP, common to most 45s made today. But that's actually the measurement of the bore.
Were you able to, when you looked at you told us you often look to see just initially, do these all match together? When you looked at the caliber of those casings that you were given, did they match with the 45 caliber?
The two cartridge cases I received were Fiocchi brand 45 auto caliber cartridge casings.
Okay. Now, what about the projectile, the bullet that you're given? Is there a way for you to determine if that is consistent with a 45 caliber being fired from a 45 caliber handgun?
Yes. So when we receive a bullet like this, I'm going to go ahead and measure the diameter across the fired bullet to achieve that. And it measured, I don't know the exact number, but it's approximately 0.45 inches.
Okay. Now, when you first were handed the gun, you said you'd make some notes about that. Did you note anything about it as to whether or not the gun appeared to have been previously fired at some point?
The only notes that we take is we do look down the barrel of the gun. When what I'm looking for is mainly safety purposes. I want to make sure there's no obstruction, because if I fire it and there's an obstruction, could be catastrophic failure of the firearm. But I'm also looking at and documenting the rifling. And when we look down a barrel, we can see, I would notate that it's slightly fouled barrel or whatnot, meaning that there's powder particles and or traces of bullets going through the firearm.
So that would mean it was consistent with having been fired at least.
Correct.
So you talked about test firing. Did you test fire this gun?
I did. I test fired this particular firearm into a water tank. I used the water tank because we wanted to collect projectiles for comparison purposes, and the water tank allows us to do that without damaging the bullets.
what kind of ammunition do you use? How do you determine that?
So first and foremost, we would like to use like ammunition. So this was Fiocchi brand ammunition. We hopefully would have some of that in our reference collection. However, I did not, so I would grab the next closest type of ammunition. I believe it was Winchester that I used in this particular case, that has the same exact type of primer, the same exact type of casing, and the same exact type of projectile.
When you talk about the same exact type, are you talking about like the metals, or what are you talking about?
For instance, the bullet in this case is a copper jacketed round nose full metal jacket. So I would look to test fire a copper jacketed full round nose bullet.
Okay. So when you test fired this gun, did you know anything with regards to the functionality of it?
I noted that it functioned as designed. I did test fire this by hand chambering. I didn't try a magazine in there because one wasn't submitted with it, but it operated with no problems.
Okay. How many times did you test fire it?
We collect a minimum of 3. In this particular case, I only did fire it 3 times. That's all that I needed.
And so each time you're having to put a bullet in there and pull the trigger each time.
That's correct.
If you'd had a magazine, would you still have had to pull the trigger each time to fire it?
Yes, it operates still semi-automatic, so the trigger would have to be pulled each time to fire a cartridge case. I just wouldn't have to reload one into the chamber each time.
So once you created these test fire, let's start with cartridges, did you attempt to compare those to the ones you were provided, exhibits 238 and 240?
So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to collect my test fires and I'm going to compare them to each other. And why I'm doing that is I want to make sure that there's marks on there that reproduce over our test fires. If there's no marks reproducing, how would I be able to compare it to the evidence? From there, once I determine that it's a sufficient, and I do photo document all of my comparisons, once I figure it's sufficient for an identification there, I'll go ahead and do a comparison to the unknown evidence and make my opinion based on that comparison.
So the test fires that you have, you look to make sure that those are creating each time the same, both class characteristics and individual characteristics.
Correct, yes.
And the class being sort of the generic ones that every type of Springfield might create.
Correct, yes.
And these individual ones are characteristics that are specific and unique to this weapon.
Correct. They're from use, abuse, cleaning, anything like that, and the individual manufacturing of each component.
When you compared those 2 cartridge casings, 238 and 240, to the test fires that you created from exhibit 246, the handgun, were you able to reach any conclusion? Also, this Springfield semi-automatic 45 caliber handgun.
That's correct.
This Springfield semi-automatic 45 caliber handgun.
That's correct.
Did that end your work in this case?
That ended my analysis from this case. From then, I go ahead and I take all of my notes. The entire process I'm photo documenting. So when I opened this up and I was documenting the condition as it's receiving, I'm also taking photos. When I'm doing the comparison, I'm also taking photos of the evidence side by side and any kind of areas of interest that I'm looking at. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and document my opinion and my results on our worksheets. I'm also going to print out all of my photos. I am then going to take all of that evidence. I'm going to hand it to another trained examiner. That other trained examiner, without looking at my results, is going to take all of that evidence and do a comparison himself. And then he'll form his own opinion and then verify that it matches or is similar to my results.
And was that done here?
Yes, it was.
Did that alter in any way your opinion?
Not at all. He was in agreement of my results.
When you talk about the photo, so in your report, you're actually showing all of those characteristics that we've talked about so anyone else could later look at them and see how you reached your conclusion.
It's the photo documentation it's just a snapshot of one portion of the comparison, but yes, a trained examiner should be able to look at them and understand what exactly I was looking at.
Right, so ultimately your conclusion was both those cartridge casings and that projectile that you were provided was fired from the gun you were provided.
That's correct.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Cross-examination.
Okay, so I'm not really going to play the cross-examination on this one because I feel like it would be redundant to play it. It'd just be time wasted that we could be watching something else. I was looking up some pictures for Charles Vallow just to, maybe compose, make a little. Yeah, it could be hearsay, but considering that it was her testimony was her statement, I feel like it would be able to be credible because I remember in the Lord, what was that baby girl's name? In one of the cases not long ago, Brianna, what was her last name? I can't remember. But anyway, her stepdad killed her, and the man who took the man that gave the stepdad a ride had passed away, and they was able to actually admit that into evidence, and it worked. So that man was sentenced to life in prison too. I cannot remember. Breonna Terrell, I think maybe might have been her last name, Terrell, I think. But anyway, I'm gonna play this video because I have not watched it in quite a while. So hold on a second here.
So you have to spell your name because we're all taking guesses on how to spell it. We're not sure.
Tyllee.
Okay, I was right. And what's your last name?
Ryan, Ryan.
And your birthday? And then, do you have a phone?
Yeah.
What's your phone number? Okay. So I know this is going to kind of sound like kind of a silly question because it's super broad. But can you basically tell me what happened today? And you can start at whatever place makes sense for you to kind of start and explain. And I'll probably kind of ask you questions as we go a little bit.
Okay. So I woke up probably around like 7:50, I want to say, because I heard yelling from like right outside my door. I don't even know where, but I immediately like jumped up, and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to like feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get like pepper spray or anything, so I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that.
So your bedroom, you said right outside your bedroom door, and I didn't go in the house, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. So what is your bedroom door open to?
My bedroom door open, so the room that my uncle was staying in, the room that's kind of like the guest room, if my room's right here, that's right there.
Okay.
And then my little brother's room, and then kitchen's kind of back here, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened.
Okay.
Like the big, you walk in and...
Like big great room, kind of living room?
Yeah, right now it just has mirrors up because my mom wanted a dance room. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unconventional, but...
Hey, whatever makes you happy. It's your guys' house, so...
Right. So, yeah, I immediately just jumped up, and I grabbed my baseball bat, and I opened the door, and it was my stepdad, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him, and he was just screaming at both of them, like, I don't even know what he was saying, because honestly, I was just too, like wired, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close, you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I just kind of just stood there. And then my uncle kind of moved out of the way. And then my mom kind of went past him and into, like, the big room.
Okay.
where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then
So they were more in the hallway.
Yeah, they were at like the end of the hallway,
Okay.
basically, and so my mom walked all the way around, and he kind of followed them, and I just kind of stood. My uncle was like right here, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom were kind of right here. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat. I kind of just held it there, and he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out like between them, and they were both just yelling, and he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to go to jail, and I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat, and I didn't really say anything.
When you said they were yelling, who was yelling?
It was mostly my stepdad.
Okay.
Well, he was really the only one, like, yelling.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was kind of, like, responding, but I honestly couldn't tell you what they were saying. It was kind of just, like, all jumbled up in my head. And so I just kind of stuck the baseball bat out there, and then he just grabbed it and tried to take it. So I held on to the end, and then eventually I fell, and he kind of took it into his hands like he was going to do something with it. And that's when...
So when you fell, he ended up with the bat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I fell to the ground, and then my uncle kind of like, I saw him take a step back, so my uncle, I think, grabbed him and kind of took him back so he couldn't like do anything.
You saw your stepdad like take a step back?
Take a step back, because he was really close
Okay.
to begin with, and then and so my mom said to go with JJ, and so I ran out the door, and then I kind of just stood there with my little brother. He was in the front seat of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there, and like, he was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay in, and I was like, oh, like, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no, and then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like, okay, like, just stay here, and then eventually my mom came out, and then we left from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened inside of the house? Has your mom kind of explained it all to you?
I just kind of asked her, like, because I heard a noise, which I know what it was now, but it sounded like, because I knew that the baseball bat was in there, it sounded like someone, like, took it and hit it really hard against the floor.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like, Al's okay, right? Because that's my uncle. So I just wanted to make sure that, like, my stepdad didn't do anything to my uncle and stuff. And so she was like, no, like, Al's fine. Like, we're just going to take JJ to school. And I was like, okay. So I just got in the car. And then we went to Burger King because my little brother wanted breakfast, which was chicken fries for some reason.
Okay. I do dinner for breakfast all the time.
Breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast.
So to kind of back up a little bit, so you had talked about your stepdad, when you put the bat out, your stepdad was coming towards your mom. Can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up?
Yeah, he was walking towards my mom, and I just didn't want him to do anything, so I kind of just stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me, and he was right there, so it wasn't, like, between them.
Okay.
It was kind of just, like, I just stuck it out to be, like, keep your distance, kind of.
When you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was going to do?
Hit her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, been pretty, like, mundane, but there have been a few, like, violent times with him when I was really scared that he was going to hit me or hit my mom, like, just because everything was kind of crazy. Me and him have always kind of not gotten along, like, just since I was little. And so there have been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that, and so, so I'm just kind of always scared of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that happened, and he grabbed the bat from you. So kind of tell me that again real quick.
So I kind of stuck it out, and this is when he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail, and I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it by, like, the end of the bat, like, the place where you hold it, and so he kind of took it, and I kind of, like, lunged forward and kind of lost, like, my footing. And so my mom was like, just let go, and so, I kind of, like, slipped and I fell, kind of on, like, my side.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from that, my mom said to go to the car, so I just got up and ran out the door.
Okay. Did you see when you fell towards your side? Did you see what he did with the bat?
No, I wasn't really looking
Okay.
in that direction because from where I fell, the door was kind of more in my line of vision because I fell looking this way and the door was like right there, so I didn't look back.
So he was at a different line of sight than what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point you saw him kind of take a step back. And from what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, you didn't necessarily see your uncle pulling back, but
Yeah.
it seems like that maybe.
It seems like he wouldn't have taken a step back
Okay.
on his own, so it's more of an assumption than anything.
Okay.
I didn't see him physically take him back.
And does that make sense based on where your uncle was at that time?
Yeah, he was behind him because he wasn't on this side with me and my mom, so he was behind him.
Okay.
Because that's kind of just the order where everyone walked out.
And when that happened and then your mom told you to go, did you see what happened with your stepdad and uncle?
No.
Okay. And then once you went outside with your brother, you never came back inside?
Oh, I went to go get my mom's purse from inside so that we could have, like, her wallet and everything, but this was all happening, like I said, like, in the bigger room right here, and so I went through the garage door, and so the garage door is right here, and then there's, like, a little hallway, and then this is kind of where everything is, and then this is my mom's room.
Okay.
So when I went in, I kind of, like, just tuned everything out, ran to my mom's closet, ran back, so I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything.
When did you go back in and get her purse?
After my mom came out.
Okay. So after you heard that loud noise?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you heard the loud noise, was your mom outside or inside?
I'm trying to think. I think she was inside when it happened and the door opened like immediately after.
Okay. So very quickly after the door opened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a long period of time because I remember not like thinking about it for that long, and if my mom hadn't come out immediately, I would have, been thinking about it for a lot longer than I had.
So obviously I don't know like your mom and stepdad and uncle like you do. I don't. So can you tell me kind of where the three of them were at kind of emotionally and how they were behaving when all this was happening?
When all this was happening or like before?
When all this was happening. So like when you came out of your room and he took the bat from you and...
Yeah, so my stepdad was like, he was like, I don't even know how to explain it. He honestly just looked like kind of a crazy person.
Okay.
Like screaming and like his face was beet red. He just looked like really mad. I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second and I honestly like, it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure like rage. Like he was just seeing red. So I haven't really seen him like all the way like that before. That's like the craziest I've ever seen him. And then my uncle was kind of calm, like not super calm. Obviously it was like a stressful situation, but he's like, I don't know, he was kind of just standing there in the doorway, kind of just being protective of my mom, but he wasn't yelling or really saying anything.
Okay.
And my mom was just he was yelling and my mom was kind of just like talking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you don't remember, if you do, like what your mom was saying at all or what he was mad about?
No, not really. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Honestly, like
we're talking about something that probably happened over 2 seconds of time.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like 2 seconds and 40 minutes at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what they were really saying. I just kind of heard yelling over everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of just do that whenever things are like really loud. I kind of just like tune what people are saying out because I don't know, just yelling isn't fun, obviously, for a kid to hear. And with my biological dad, I always heard him like screaming and stuff, so I kind of just learned how to like tune it out.
So when you woke up to yelling, and you had said you weren't sure what they were actually saying, did you know who was yelling when you heard the yelling?
Yeah, I knew it was my stepdad. Well, at first I kind of didn't. Like when you first wake up, you're kind of disoriented, and then I remembered that my stepdad was like coming in to take my little brother to school today, so I immediately like knew it was him. Mm-hmm. And then my uncle I knew was staying, so I knew that was him. And then my mom, obviously, I knew that was her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so you stepped out of your room and you took the bat with you. Is there a reason why you took the bat with you?
Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct. Mm-hmm. Like obviously I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. It was kind of just for like security, I guess, to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it. In hindsight, I probably just shouldn't have brought it out at all because it caused more trouble. But it was kind of just first instinct, and it was right by my bed. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just like jumped up and grabbed it.
So I'm trying not to put like words in your mouth and stuff.
You're good.
So was there something in particular that you were concerned about that you would have taken the bat with you?
Only if he had been violent towards like me or my mom.
I'm assuming you're talking about your stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take the bat and like do something with it. It was kind of just like, I need something in my hands to like feel safer.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So my kind of second dumb question is, and I don't know that there necessarily is, but I always kind of want to make sure, is there anything that, you know, we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about or anything that you think is important or anything that I should know? Because it's harder for you because you were there. Mm-hmm. And so I'm asking questions about something I didn't even see. So I just want to make sure like I didn't miss something or anything that you think I should know about.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. And if you think of something, you know, in 5 minutes and tomorrow or whatever else, we can always talk again. It's totally fine. So I talked to your mom about, we have some victim services people that work here. They're not cops. They're really good at what they do. So I really want your mom to talk to them because I think it would be good that your mom has, and you guys have some, maybe kind of some extra support if you need anything kind of go moving on. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to check in with your mom real quick, and if she's good to go, then I'm going to introduce one of them to you guys. That way you guys can talk before I take you guys back. Okay? Sound fair? Okay. Do you have any questions for me at all?
No,
okay. If you do, let me know, okay? Okay.
It really bothers me to see that video. to know that Tolly could still be here with us on this earth. It's very, 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 very heartbreaking. And to know that Tolly, this was not her first exposure to domestic violence, basically, and that's what this is the domestic, just the domestic violence situation. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. But I wanted to play that just because I wanted to see if I read anything of it any different, which I didn't. What I seen in that video was a young lady, who, a victim herself, had to be subjected to some nightmarish issues. But I also would like to know, since, and I know that with minors, they have to be careful and stuff like that, but they are allowed to get a minor statement. They are allowed to have a guardian ad litem for a minor. The JJ, now we've heard it said in trial that Charles was there to pick up JJ, right? Excuse me. We've heard it be said, and the evidence will show. No, I'm joking. Just joking. I don't want to use those words. The evidence will show. That Charles was there to pick up JJ, to take him to school. And we've heard Lori say that, JJ was there. So JJ obviously seen his dad, right? Well, regardless of whether JJ was there when it all went down or what have you, there should be some type of like statement of interview or something other involving JJ. I do not know if that was obtained by law enforcement or anything like that. So I would like to know what JJ's account of the situation would have been. It probably wouldn't have been much, but still, I feel like it could play my hair is looking goofy today. It could play a crucial part to, allow the jury to know this information. I don't think that this will get played in court, the one with Tolly, due to the fact that in the pretrial motions or whatever about mentioning the kids, the kids aren't to be mentioned or whatever. However, I can't remember exactly how it goes. But that door needs to be opened where the jury can find out exactly where everybody's at in this picture we have being painted. That I wish to God I could just charge her with something and throw her in the gas chamber, to be honest, because that's where she deserves to be. I mean, I'm not going to say she didn't care about her kids, because, that'd be crazy, but she did at one point in time care about them. Yes, y'all, please drop those links for Burden's and everyone else's channels, if y'all will. Just trying to think. I'm tired and I don't feel good this morning. But, yeah. We have court starting soon, here in about an hour and 20 minutes. Should be moved 2 hours. if y'all aren't following the trial with anyone doing live commentary or whatever, check out the docket. I'll be in the chat there sooner or later today. I actually went up on panel yesterday with him for about 10 minutes, but slowly but surely I'm getting back into my groove of things with social media and stuff. It's been my grounding spot, social media has. And well, where life happens, and yeah. So anyway, what do you all guys think? Oh, and supposedly Thursday may be it for the state. The state may be done by Thursday. That's what we were talking about yesterday in the docket, something about Thursday. And then, we have we need to find out who's all Lori is calling into the stand. So who is left to 1 second, y'all. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to see something. Hold on 1 second. Oh, well, in March it was ruled that Tally's statements would not be in the trial. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me see here. Yeah, it was said in March that Tally's statements wouldn't be admitted. But yeah, my stuff froze up. Great. No. Go back. Oh, stupid. Oh. Okay, I froze, y'all. Hold on. And something happened on my phone that I was on. I think my phone is stupid. I'm not gonna mess with it no more. Because it said that Nye wasn't a moderator. Nye is a moderator. So if I unmodded you back, or I tried to. If that makes sense. But yeah, I was going to get and pull up a video of that, but like I said, my phone is being stupid, so I'm not gonna do anything. We went through this yesterday, so I think what it is my computer is having some issues with its memory. This computer's about old though. It was my brother's, and yeah, it's my last one because I killed my other one. Literally killed it. But yeah, that's that. Thank you to everyone who's been here. I think we got up to 20 views or 20 eyeballs I seen on my screen for a little bit. Very thankful, very appreciative of all of you being here. To my mods, Nye, Burden, everyone else who's a mod. Thank you that's been here. I apologize for being a little late this morning and not really being the best of, I guess you could put organized. But life does happen and stuff. So we will be having a recap in the morning. I do have some good news though in the Rachel Morin case, real quick. The man that was on trial for her has been found guilty and sentenced to, I believe, life, either with or without parole. But I'll get an updated video on that later on, and we'll check that out tomorrow. Or I may just post it in the community tab or something. But I'm going to tell everyone thank you again for being here, and I am going to jump off. Like I said, if you're not following the case with anyone and you want to watch it, the docket's doing it live. Then of course there's Court TV and stuff like that. But the docket, he has a lot of information on this case. He's followed it from day one. He's worked with the victims in this case, the victims' families. In this case, Miss Krishna, which is Charles's niece. A difficult research. He's worked with Kay Woodcock, Larry Woodcock, and of course, we all are haunted by the things that Lori and Chad and Alex have done. I will say this, that I believe Zalima, Beetlejuice Zalima is going to be testifying, I'm not 100% sure. She's going to be at one of the trials, but I'm telling you right now, y'all got to be careful when mentioning that girl's name, because, man, strange stuff goes to happening. It does, I kid you not. But I wish you all a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.